For clarity, sir?
Say it.
You said this crap when you referred to I've been dealing with this crap for years. What did you mean?
Oh, I think the press has treated me unbelievably unfairly. In fact, when I won, I said, the good thing is now the press finally gets it. Now they'll finally treat me fairly. They got worse. They're worse now than ever. They're loco, but that's okay. I put up with it. Go ahead. I use that word because of the fact that we made a deal with Mexico. So, no, please sit down.
Thank you, Mr. President, for coming back to you.
You're going to be next. You're going to be next.
I didn't know. I thought you were talking.
Go ahead.
I have two questions about Judge Kavanaugh. First, there are now concerns that he may have lied or mischaracterized his drinking while testifying. If they find that he did, do you think that bars him from being your Supreme Court nominee?
Well, I watched him. I was surprised at how vocal he was about the fact that he likes beer, and he's had a little bit of difficulty. I mean, he talked about things that happened when he drank. I mean, this is not a man that said that alcohol was that he was perfect with respect to alcohol. No, I thought he was actually, going back so many years, I thought he was excellent. The interesting thing is, though, nobody asked him about what's happened in the last 25, 30 years during his professional career, because there were no bad reports. I mean, there are bad reports on everybody in here. Most of the people sitting down there bad, except for Mike Pence, by the way. And if we find one on him, then I think that'll be the greatest shock of all time. No, there are bad reports on everybody. I'm looking at people. I'm sort of, look at some of these people asking the questions, okay? Look at Blumenthal. He lied about Vietnam. He didn't just say, hey, I went to Vietnam. No. For 15 years, he said he was a war hero. He fought in Da Nang province. We call him Da Nang Richard. Da Nang, that's his nickname, Da Nang. He never went to Vietnam. And he's up there saying, we need honesty and we need integrity. This guy lied when he was the Attorney General of Connecticut. He lied. I don't mean a little bit. And then when he got out, he actually dropped out of the race, and he won anyway, because Democrats always win in Connecticut. He won very close, probably the closest ever. But here's a guy lied, and now he's up there talking like he's holier than thou. You know what? Take a look at his record. And when he got out, and when he apologized, he was crying. The tears were all over the place. And now he acts like, how dare you? Take a look at the judge who has led an exemplary life. I mean, you're going back to high school because he had beer? I think the judge has been pretty amazing about describing his situation with alcohol and with beer. I mean, take a look at Cory Booker. He ran Newark, New Jersey into the ground. He was a horrible mayor. And he made statements that when he was in high school or college, what he was doing, he actually made the statements. And now he's talking about Judge Kavanaugh. And I could go through a whole list of them, okay? So, look at Dianne Feinstein. You're telling me about time. Dianne Feinstein knew about this 2 months earlier. If she wanted a really thorough investigation, we had all the time in the world. She didn't have to wait till after the hearing was closed, essentially. She should have said, listen, I have a problem. I have this report. I'd like the FBI to look at it while we're doing the hearings. We had 2 months. No, she didn't do that. She waited till we were closed. And then she probably leaked it, but, you know, who am I to say? But she probably leaked it based on a very bad body language the other day. But more importantly, in a sense, for her to have waited that period of time, and now for you Democrats, and I guess I'm including you too, the media, right? I consider you a part of the Democrat Party. But for you, for the Democrats, to be talking about we want more time for the FBI. If you wanted more time for the FBI, why didn't Dianne Feinstein bring this up? Now, you know that she showed this to other Democrats. She's not the only one. She showed this to other Democrats. There were more than just her that knew about this big confidential thing. It was confidential until the hearing was over. After the hearing was over, they went public. Why didn't they do it during the hearing? And we could have had all the time in the world. You know why? Because they're dishonest people. Okay, yes, please.
You didn't answer my question, Mr. President.
Go ahead.
You didn't answer my question, Mr. President. So if he did lie about his drinking, does that mean you'll pull his nomination?
I don't think he did.
Okay.
Look, here's what, I'm just saying, I'm not a drinker. I can honestly say I never had a beer in my life, okay?
Right.
It's one of my only good traits. I don't drink. Whenever they're looking for something good, I say, I never had a glass of alcohol. I've never had alcohol. I've just, for whatever reason. Can you imagine if I had, what a mess I'd be? I'd be the world's worst.
Well,
but I never drank, okay? But I can tell you, I watched that hearing, and I watched a man saying that he did have difficulty as a young man with drink. The one question I didn't ask is, how about the last 20 years? Have you had difficulty the last 20 years? Because nobody said anything bad about him in many, many years. They go back to high school. I graduated from high school, and while I did not drink, I saw a lot of people drinking. They'd drink beer, and they'd go crazy, and, they were in high school. They were 16, 17 years old, and I saw a lot of it. Does that mean that they can't do something that they want to do with their life? So it's a very tough thing. I really believe that he was very strong on the fact that he drank a lot, and so I don't know where there'd be big discrepancy.
Okay, so
yes, go ahead, please.
Just to wrap up, can you promise?
You know what? You've really had enough.
FBI's report?
Hey, you've had enough. Go ahead, please.
Thanks, Mr. President. Judge Kavanaugh said he was being targeted by Democrats. Has he made the process overly political? And how can you assure the American people that he'll be able to deliver impartial decisions?
Well, you'll have to ask him that question, but I can tell you he's been treated horribly.
But
he's a good man. He's a good man with a great family. I think he's been treated horribly. Lindsey Graham was, I thought, terrific the other day, and he brought up one point that is now being discussed by a lot of people, and that's who is going to want to run for office, be in office, take an appointment of not just Supreme Court, but, many positions. I have right now 360 people that aren't being approved. They're very qualified. Nobody says they're not qualified, but Senator Schumer is not approving them because of resist and obstruct. It's much longer than ever in the history of our country, like I think double the time almost. It's far more people than anybody in the history of our country. Most of those people are routine approvals. These are people that gave up jobs. They gave up their life to come and serve our country. And Schumer and his group won't approve them. They're slow walking them. Everything is going to 30 hours, meaning they take them out 30 hours. Person that's going to be approved, it's a disgrace. So when the judge brings up whether it's politics or not, I don't know. You'd have to ask him, but I can say this. He's been treated really, really horribly.
But are you concerned?
Please, go ahead. I'm not concerned, no. No, you know what I'm concerned? That we get great, great people on the U.S. Supreme Court. That's what I'm concerned. And I want to have great people. And I don't want to have to call people for any court and have them say, sir, it's such a great honor, but no thank you, I just can't do it. I just can't do it. That'd be a sad day for our country. And we're going to come close to that, because I know people now that say, I don't know how he does it. I don't know why he would have taken it. Nobody knew a thing like this could have happened. When Justice Gorsuch got approved, it was rough, but it was nothing like what they're doing to this man and what they're coming up with. And in many cases, fabricating, because as you know, many stories were pulled back and certain stories were pulled back that were horrible. What they're doing to this man and his family is very, very sad and very bad for our nation. Yes?
Mr. President, you just said some senators are not angels, and you've seen some of them in
I would say some of them, yes.
compromising situations.
Yes.
Could you tell us who and exactly what situation you've seen them in?
I think I'll save it for a book like everybody else, and I'll write it. Okay? I'm not giving it to you. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Mr. President, if the FBI finds other witnesses who can corroborate the account of any of the accusers, would that be enough for you?
I would certainly look at that. I'm open. I think he's a fine man. I think he's a great scholar. I so believed him when he said what he did. He focused on being number one at Yale, on being number one in high school, at being number one at law. He focused. I can so understand that. I mean, it's so important. The way he said that, it made an impact on me. He was so focused on being number one at Yale, and I believe he was number one at Yale. But I understood that very well.
And I wanted to ask about something else you brought up today, the Las Vegas shooting.
Yes.
There's some frustration that more hasn't been done in that past year. More hasn't been done about bump stocks. Are there some
Well,
things
no,
you would
you're
like
wrong.
to see
You're wrong
done?
about
Yeah,
that.
go ahead.
So, in order to terminate bump stocks, we have to go through a procedure. We are now at the final stages of that procedure. In fact, the lawyers were just telling me, and over the next couple of weeks, I'll be able to write it out. But you can't just write it out because rules and regulations in this country are really tough, even for something like that. So we're knocking out bump stocks. I've told the NRA, I've told it, bump stocks are gone. But to do it, you have to go to public hearings, which we've had. You have to go through all sorts of regulatory control systems. And we are in the final couple of weeks, and is our attorney around someplace, please? He said we're in the final 2 or 3 weeks, and I'll be able to write out bump stocks. But it's a process that takes, statutorily, it takes about a year to do it.
And any other
to do it properly.
Any other actions you're planning to help prevent?
Yeah, and we're working also with Congress on both sides. We are working on a lot of different things. That was a horrible thing, but we're working on both sides of that question. And the bump stock is almost gone. But again, to do it so it's meaningful. The lawyer just said it. Yeah, we've gone through a whole procedure. If you look, in fact, you could call Derek, who you know very well, and he's gone through the full procedure. We've done it absolutely by the book, and in a very short period of time, bump stocks will be ruled out. Okay?
All right, thank you.
Yes. You've had one. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, please. Please, sit down.
Mr. President, a final trade question. Since steel and aluminum tariffs won't be coming down from Canada and Mexico, can you talk about whether there was discussion of ending those retaliatory tariffs against U.S.
Well, they're not
farmers and ranchers?
retaliatory. They're really trying to get some really bad things from happening. They were dumping in our country, and it was China and various others were dumping massive amounts of dead steel. It's called dead steel. It's also imperfect steel. Inside that steel was a lot of bad things that make for a weaker steel. So when we're building bridges and you have mud steel or you have other quantities of other material in that steel, that's a very bad thing. It's very unsafe. So it's not just economic. It's, we have, the miners have been very thankful for what I've done. You saw that the other night in West Virginia. And we have metallurgic coal and other materials. We have mines that are opening up now to get that incredible stuff. This is used not for heating and cooling. This is used in electric. This is used to make steel. And those mines are now opening up, and we're making steel. And the price is going to end up being less because we don't have the shipping problems when you ship it from places so far away. You'll see. We'll have hundreds of new plants opened up in our country, and they'll be competing against each other. And outsiders won't be able to compete. Just so you understand what was going to happen, they were going to knock out every steel plant we had. And then they were going to double and triple the price, and we couldn't have done anything about it. It's a very dangerous thing. And we've employed a lot of people, and billions of dollars is now flowing into our treasury. Okay, yeah, in the back, please.
Staying here on trade, the stock market has liked the announcement today. When we walked in here, the Dow was up 250 points or so. There are some who are